Good morning to everyone in the synagogue and at home. I'm actually not going to talk about my spiritual journey. I'm going to talk about my awakening. First, let me take you back in time. I have two family photos in mind from around 1948. I am 6 to 7 years old. One photo is my first recall about knowing I was Jewish. I'm wearing a blue dress and holding a shovel, and I'm standing next to my father, who is chairman of the building committee of Temple Israel in Memphis, Tennessee. I dig the first hole of the new synagogue building. I was pretty proud. The other photo is my first recall about loving nature and thinking the outdoors is fun. I am wearing blue jeans and a flannel shirt and sitting next to my father, who's holding a string of fish we caught. The old station wagon is behind us, along with the big outboard motor for the boat on the car roof. We have spent the day, or perhaps several days, camping out on a river in either Arkansas or Mississippi. My spiritual journey has started. It has been a fairly steady and happy path all my life. I do feel incredibly lucky. My mother found her spiritual life in art and community. My father found his spiritual life in the outdoors and especially among rural folk. Both were active volunteers, and our home was open house to all visitors. I must note that I am keenly aware as an adult of what the South was like when I was growing up. A separate part of my life is my own reckoning with that history. Fast forward to 1991, when my husband Larry List died at much too young an age of 53. My spiritual strength has kept me going in my life's journey. Of note, Larry and I joined the synagogue when our children started Hebrew school over 40 years ago. So let's focus on my awakening. Now, fast forward to November 2019. I received an email from the Social Justice Committee of the synagogue, as did all members. It is organizing a trip to the Texas border to volunteer with Team Brownsville and help asylum seekers. Trump has just issued a stay in Mexico order. As soon as I read the notice, I signed up without further thought. I just know I want to feel and see and try to understand what these brave people are thinking and feeling. This was my first awakening, that I wanted to get involved and not just be a liberal bystander. I was excited to feel I could do something. And I immediately said to myself with a big smile, "Thank you, Brooklyn Heights Synagogue, for giving me this opportunity." We left for Brownsville on January 2nd. 5 days later, we returned to Brooklyn, and truly, my life was changed. I felt the pulse, the pain, and the pleasure of being with people of such courage. I'm looking at some photos from that trip. Here we are in Brownsville, in a bus station, loading our wagons with books, backpacks, blankets, food for the Sunday sidewalk school in Matamoros, Mexico. Wagons are packed to the brim. Now, we are pulling our heavy wagons across the Rio Grande River. We pass through guards to get on the bridge. We look over the river as we pass, but our view is not clear because we must look through heavy screens that make you feel like you are in a tunnel. You see very tall barbed wire fences also along the river. Now we are sitting on the sidewalk on blankets we bring with children sitting all around us. Their small tents are next to us, camped on the dirt road. They are dark inside. but the children are smiling outside. I have a group of children around 5 to 7 years old. They speak Spanish, and sadly I do not. But we read these books together. We look at pictures, lots of hand gestures, and eager chatter from them, much nodding from me, and hugging too. It's a reminder to me that children bring universal love. It's as simple as that. The books quickly get taken inside the tents. Now here we are back at sunset, serving up dinner. Rice and chicken stew and tortillas provided by a Matamoros restaurant, and hundreds of quartered oranges that we have prepared earlier at a homeless shelter back in Brownsville and carried over again in our wagons. Families line up in order, wait their turn, continuously say gracias, and make sure their children get fed first. Another reminder that parental love is universal too. On my return, I quickly decided that I would go back and bring my own group of volunteers. I wanted my first trip to the border to not be my last. By the end of that journey, I had a group of 5 signed up to go in May, and then COVID hit and our trip was postponed. I am committed to returning as soon as I can. Another awakening that I feel I must go back. My next awakening is June 2020. I am recovering from my own bout with COVID-19. I am receiving regular emails from the Social Justice Committee of the synagogue, since I am now on their roster from taking the Brownsville trip. Again, on the spur of the moment, I decide to learn more about their work and their group, so I start attending their Zoom meetings. No photos here, just a visual description of a Zoom meeting. 10 to 12 members gather promptly, and a full agenda is discussed, debated, and amazingly, after very active discourse, next steps are determined. Planning the Martin Luther King Shabbaton is a perfect example. Figuring out the entire event happened so quickly and with such thoughtfulness and thoroughness that I really think it should be part of a Harvard Business School case study. My awakening is that participating in group dynamics works wonders when everyone feels equally heard and involved, and the meeting energy becomes informative and inspiring. In this place, I am just a worker bee, not a leader or an organizer, and I am loving it and learning so much. My next awakening is October 2020, and I have learned that Sue Gold is stepping down, a well-deserved retirement, and a search committee is being formed. I was retiring also in 2021, having worked in the nonprofit world for 57 years. Since I was involved in the search for my replacement, I realized that I might have some firsthand experience that could be helpful. Again, on the spur of the moment, I volunteered for that committee, and I was accepted. I have learned so much about the synagogue through our discussions about job descriptions, synagogue goals, administrative needs, that I feel awakened again. I discovered our synagogue is a magical place because it truly is a community first and an institution second. The leadership, the trustees, the members, all of you make the synagogue truly special. Now, what will be my next awakening? I know the refugee committee of the synagogue is looking for members, and I've been talking with the committee chair to learn more. Brooklyn Heights Synagogue has helped one Afghan refugee settle in Brooklyn and is now considering helping another, possibly a family. How timely. How can I help? I don't yet know, but as you can now imagine, I'm about to find out. So in closing, I hope this brief review of my awakenings inspires each of you. I do firmly believe that each of us can make some difference in some way, and that surely now is the time, given the multiple and increasing crises in our world. I hope each of you find your awakenings in the new year. Shana Tova.